Okay. All right. So good evening and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Woodbury County Zoning Commission. Today's date is June 26, 2023, and the time is 6:00 p.m. Tonight's meeting will be audio taped and minutes will be prepared. In respect to all parties, we ask those present turn off cell phones or set to vibrate. Those in attendance are asked to legibly complete the attendance sheet upon the front table. I would like to take a moment to review the procedures that the commission will follow tonight. First, the commission will handle the normal housekeeping agenda items, and for each application on the agenda, it will open a public hearing on the item. The planning and zoning staff will then present the staff report, including the staff recommendation. Any letters or other communication received from the public prior to the hearing will be entered into the record. The applicant will then have the opportunity to present his or her case and respond to staff report. Next, we will hear comments from the public. If you would like to speak either in support of or against the application, just come to the microphone. Please first state your name and address for the record. All interested parties shall be heard, but repetitious comments should be avoided. Repetitious or irrelevant comments may be ruled out of order by the chair. I ask that you remain respectful and courteous with your comments at all times. After all public comments have been heard, the staff and applicant may make a closing statement. The hearing shall then be closed by motion and vote. Thereafter, no further comments from the staff, public, or applicant may be heard unless asked for by the commission. The commission shall then deliberate the case and may ask questions of the applicant, the staff, or any party offering testimony. However, such questions do not reopen the hearing for additional comments from the public unless so requested or approved by the commission. The commission will then formulate and vote on a motion. The motion will typically either grant or deny the requested application. Any commission member who has an ex parte communication placed in the record of this meeting should do so prior to the beginning of the deliberation of the respective agenda item. Hearing that, read your roll call.
We can announce that all zoning commissioners are here and Jeffrey O'Toole is absent. So
Okay.
4 of the 5.
Okay. All right. Then moving on to item number 3, which is the public comment on matters not on the agenda. Public? We don't have anybody on the phone, do we?
Nobody on the phone.
Okay. All right. So hearing none, we're going to move on to the next one, which is item number 4, approval of minutes, May 22nd of 2023. Do we have any additions, corrections, deletions? If we don't, I'd entertain a motion. We have a motion. I get a second. I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, we have the approval of the minutes has been made. Number 5 item of business is a public hearing proposed zoning ordinance text amendment concerning temporary heavy construction services. Summary of proposed zoning ordinance text amendments. You want to finish
Yeah.
reading into the record?
Yes, this is a proposal that the Board of Supervisors have directed the commission and staff to look at. It's an ordinance amending the text of the Woodbury County zoning ordinance to amend portions of section 3.03.4 titled Land Use Summary Table of Allowed Uses in each district, in each zoning district. The proposal is to repeal the prohibited uses for aggregate crush and screen temporary, asphalt mixing temporary, and concrete mixing temporary in the general commercial zoning district and the highway commercial zoning district, and replace with conditional uses for aggregate crush and screen temporary, asphalt mixing temporary, and concrete mixing temporary in both the general commercial and highway commercial zoning districts. And what you see on page 4 of the packet is the excerpt of the land use summary table. And these temporary opportunities are allowed as conditional uses in the agricultural preservation, as well as limited industrial and the general industrial. And with the rise of construction going on, especially with the Highway 20 corridor, we had ran into scenarios where you just have, for example, the borrow pit that just went through here as an additional use opportunity to support the Highway 20 project. But with much of the corridor now having commercial opportunity or commercial along there, we ran into scenarios where there would be ideal places to put asphalt mixing or other of those type of temporary construction services there. And the limitations of the ordinance keep us from being able to bring it into a conditional use for consideration. And so supervisors asked for the commission to look at this for the possibility to adding a C in the column of general commercial as well as highway commercial. And as far as I can tell, we don't have highway commercial actually as a parcel, any parcels in the county, but we do have the general commercial. And so that's the whole premise of this request. That's all I got.
Have 4 letters.
We had a few comments in there.
Okay.
County engineer, of course, supports it.
Engineering tech from NIPCO. Casey Menon. Distribution engineer, Mid-American Energy, and Burlington Water Conservation District. Okay. Okay, so I don't remember why we didn't put these in as conditional use back in the day.
I don't know why they were left out of there either. And why they probably should be in there, and then also they'll possibly, just a chance, but I needed, maybe they won't have any on AP too, so it's, I guess. My opinion, it's a good fit. I agree. They're temporary.
Surprises me, yeah, that we didn't do that back in the day.
That's why I was wondering if there was a reason why it had been.
Unless there was just no demand. We didn't find the demand there. Anything I can think of.
It depends too, because when the new ordinance had come out, you did kind of have a future land use map, and the Highway 20 corridor has been very transitional. At one point, there was some industrial out there instead of the commercial. So the commercial's kind of a newly found thing, as much of that's farm ground anyhow along there. So I could see that, but as far as supporting Highway 20, that's really one of our primary commercial areas is along that corridor. I think there's some on the entrance into Salix a bit, but other than that, we don't have a whole lot of parcels out there. So reviewing this with the county engineer, and on the highway, having these requests with the magnitude of this project going on too. Putting the C there still offers the opportunity for commission and Board of Adjustment to scrutinize what the project is, how they're gonna do it with a site plan and everything. So ultimately, it's just adding the availability to give a potential applicant the ability to have to put their asset there, whether it's concrete, asphalt, or the aggregate. All temporary.
Do we have any other comments on this one? Are we ready to go into closed session on it? Anybody have comments? Okay. We have a motion to go into closed session. Can I get a second? Do you have a second to go into closed session? All in favor, say aye. Aye, we are now in closed session. Hearing that we're in closed session, what will be your vote?
Yes, kind of. Comment that AP was the typical district that would have been along Highway 20 project that would have been utilized for that in the past. But now it's changing a lot of that. Either commercial or, I think the potential for this to be used more and more down the road is there. So that's negative too.
Kind of the conditional use permit I love.
Yeah.
Simply because you can review it on every aspect from every different project, so.
Definite no's, not a definite yes.
Exactly, you just get to review each one individually, so that's true.
Yeah, along with the fact that this isn't gonna be one of these coming down the pike every months, and also rarely used.
Because besides like Main 20 and Interstate, most other roads, wouldn't it be AP that they'd have to use? There's not enough.
And I think that's what we were looking at it before, possibly, is that this, they feed along 20 and along these roads where they're gonna use the stuff right away, an AP and not elsewhere. And now those designations have changed.
So that's what triggered this.
And I'm guessing that's the reason it wasn't then, because there wasn't a lot of things going along anywhere on 20 that were commercial, they were APs.
Right.
So that's where it would have needed it. Now that change is taking place, so now we'll need it piece of ground,
Right.
maybe just rezone now. And
Pick it down. Mhm. No pressure.
I would, all we really need to do is change the table for the conditional uses within the zoning districts that are listed on the board in GC and HC zoning districts to allow for.
You agree with this draft proposal on the ordinance?
As far as the draft proposal and the summary are tailored together. And so, targeting those three items, putting the C in the respective columns. So a recommendation that you make or a motion that you could make is, amending this content. To
The content presented today.
based on that summary.
I guess I would make a motion to recommend approval of content presented in the draft proposal and the table.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we've got a motion and we have a second. Fine. Of course.
Have someone,
Frank on the phone. Okay,
if I may. This is Dan Priestley with Woodbury County Zoning. Could you identify yourself on the phone?
Tom Trahern, Next Era Energy.
Okay, thank you.
okay. So the next item on our agenda is informational discussion on the update on zoning commission, May 22nd, 2023, recommendation for a solar energy systems amendments proposal to Woodbury County zoning ordinance. Dan, do you want to read the information into record, please?
Yes, the purpose of tonight's information item is a follow-up from where we were at last month, May 27th. The motion was made to direct county attorney's office to look into the wind proposals, where much emphasis was on the residential side for the net metering concept that was brought up. And working with the county attorney's office, the items that are kind of referenced in red there, we worked on, and basically what Joshua Whitman and I discussed was actually the word primarily in there. According to Joshua, would facilitate those concerns instead of having it directly restricted on the parcel. It would open up at least that opportunity based upon this language for that respective net metering opportunity. And so we added that what private shall be allowed only as a non-utility scale accessory use to a permitted principal use. And it said surplus energy sold back to a utility must comply with all applicable laws, including but not limited to. Then it's a section 199, chapter 1511, chapter 5 of Iowa Administrative Code, and all the requirements of the Iowa Utilities Board. And ultimately, that there opens it up. If there's any state laws or any adjustments or changes, it would be able to pick that up too, as far as meeting the state requirements. And then down in the second part, to have everything kind of flush with each other primarily was added down on the second part as well. So transmission through electrical grid for offsite use or wholesale. And wholesale, the word was just pushed together as one with that red there. But other than that, that's the update that we have. And I know you had mentioned at the last meeting, you wanted us to look at it and send it up to the supervisors. But talking to Joshua, we think we should, of course, bring it back to the zoning commission as a follow-up. So the chief folds, of course, I sent that out as well last week to the back of the board. So just want everybody to be aware of the results of what we were assigned.
Is there anybody in the public that wants to comment on this? On the phone? Anyone?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it eliminates the issue you may have, or individuals may have trying to use the RECs or the American Saturday Bank by allowing it primarily for the residents, but it doesn't exclude the fact that they can use it. But it still doesn't open the door for a commercial grade scale.
And that was the balance, and that's sort of the kind of the definition of primarily that it sticks to, that it's a use is, you've got to have a principal use on there. You've got to use it to the majority that you can, can't turn into a mini power plant, basically. So, that's what amendment 2 would be for possible considering that conditional use in that AP zone.
I guess a little further on that too, I thought, individuals from REC, they confirmed the fact that residential solar installation projects are limited in scope by them also. They only allow that to be based on their 12-month history of use. So it's what you've been using is what you can add for a system. That's how it finds the system. They don't want to buy power back from a private individual. They don't make money doing that. They're doing it because it's the way the government kind of wants you to do, bring it up. So anyhow, that they won't even sign a contract for that metering above and beyond.
But they're already using it.
Kilowatt average for 12 months, basic. So I think we're protected.
Both ways.
Yeah, both sides, there and the language.
So if I may, probably the next step would be to inform the supervisors, put it on their agenda, that they would ultimately decide how they want their scheduling and everything. So it's a matter of putting an item up on the agenda, to basically schedule those dates. This would require the 3 public hearings, posted times. We would probably send out more info to the public and ask for more comments, and try to bolster comments on it. And then they would ultimately decide they can accept your recommendation, they can do something else, they can do a part of the recommendation if they like one better than the other. It's kind of some flexibility as far as them as being legislating from that aspect. So just want you to be aware of that, and I'll let you know. Probably send out a message. It's set up on the board agenda and everything. And, imagine you'll hear a lot more once it's up at that level, as well, maybe in the media too.
So you don't need any action at this point in time.
This was just to inform you what directed on last month.
Okay, perfect. Everybody's good with that? Okay, okay, good. All right, so that takes us to the next informational discussion meeting, time and location for the Woodbury County Zoning Commission is referenced in the rules of procedure. Hey, Dan?
Yes, last month, we discussed the possibility or the impact on maybe meeting at an earlier time. We had received some concerns, of course, with security. And we kind of discussed it at 5 o'clock, 4:30. 5 o'clock seemed kind of a bit more reasonable. And I kind of relayed that back, talked to Board of Adjustments as well. Talked to the chairman of the board and everything. And 5 o'clock seems to be a time that may be a little bit more suitable as far as the security. I do know that Commissioner O'Toole has concerns as the further you pull it up to 4:30, it becomes harder on his schedule. But he seemed a bit more open to 5 o'clock. I just wanted to see what your feelings are about 5 o'clock. Maybe consider next month possibly putting it up on the agenda to amend the rules of procedure to at least getting us to 5 o'clock. Again, they're looking at it, of course, from the security perspective and how long the courthouse is open. Ideally, they'd probably like to see it in terms of the workday, the way the security is, but any which way to pull it in a bit closer, I think is what they're looking for as far as this. So that's really what I have to express. I want know your concerns as well, how you feel about maybe voting on that next month to at least go to 5.
Go with 5? 5?
I did a couple of comments. I talked to a few individuals, and I mentioned 4:30, and they're like, I don't think we're gonna get there from work, you know, if there's controversial issues, some people can't attend. So the 5 o'clock time frame was kind of the, well, we can leave early and get there by then. So I think
Kinda
if
make
we go too much earlier than that, if there's issues coming down the pipe, people might be upset that you're trying to exclude it.
Right.
And I said, that wasn't, I explained, you know, it's a dollar deal where we're trying to save overtime. To do exclude people.
No, I know that came up before, it's people availability and being able to get off work to get here. And there's an issue.
The other thing too is the supervisors, we have 4:30, so kind of looking through that lens there, the many issues beyond zoning that they handle on a regular basis where people make a point to be there, or they have to be there, need to be there, so that's definitely one of those things, and I think 5 could be, you know, enough to rein it in an hour, but yet have some ability to get there, at least with access.
We would pretty much agree. Fine. Fine. Fine.
We'll look at having an action item next month.
Okay.
Ultimately, you would vote on it, but then that's the supervisors to vote on it. A double approval.
There you have it. Item number 6 on the agenda, public comment on matters not on the agenda. Same 2 people out there, so I'm guessing we don't have anything on the agenda that we want to add. Yes?
Well, you know, I don't. But I'm thinking of the people where I was. Take your time. What do you want for us? Well, I just want to discuss a few things about the pipeline, of course. I don't know if you all are following the news, but my son and I. Thursday. To go there, go against the death. And several others who were there. For the proceedings. I don't know if you've gotten a report from anybody on it. Did I hear you? No. Okay, I'd say my reaction to the rapid reaction of the things of people was shock at the things that they were hearing. For people that spoke at the people against the pipeline. They, I guess they couldn't quite believe that what they were hearing was actually happening. So it was an interesting meeting. I didn't think there were any exaggerations. People pretty much told what's been happening with the bullying and the lies, the pressure, various things that happen, has happened. I think the result of the Benson meeting was that the people that were there were asking for a moratorium to be issued by the Benson people against the pipelines until Penza can get their new rules and regulations in place. Somebody doesn't jump the gun and try to grandfather in. Both of the pipelines, especially some of them, are pushing really hard right now to get this started and going. I don't know if you saw on the news about the farmer in South Dakota whose land was trespassed on again. this week. I think it was this week, it was last week. But they told him, someone told him that he had to stay 100 feet away from them. They brought their big tiring machine there and drilled in his bean field. They were drilling for some kind of wells. And it was storage wells and what it was for sure. But he was smart enough that he called some of his neighbors and friends and they came and took pictures. They told him he couldn't take any pictures of their equipment or anything on his land. And so he found a way around that. So it did hit the news pretty hard. It was on one of our channels here. But it's been in the Rapid City News. Various other places too. So that's one thing that happened this week. The landowner, or the landlord's lawyer, has asked for a dismissal of the projects, of the pipeline projects, because of the difference between liquid and supercritical carbon dioxide. Supposedly, they have asked for a permit for liquid, but the form is going to be in supercritical, which is a more solid form. So he's asked for a dismissal of the project because of that. Today, there was an official IUB notice of the Fort Dodge hearings that they are going to be on August 22nd. That has been moved up 2 months. Previous notice that we had gotten before it was going to be in October. And now they moved it up to August 22nd. So that puts a lot of pressure on farmers to get their act together and their testimonies and whatever. Some had thought they were, and the IUB thought they were doing the farmers a favor. I guess they people farm out here in August. But as you all know, there's lots of things to be done on the farm yet in August. And it's gonna be a real hardship for the farmers to get all their information gathered and into the lawyer's office to do that. So that's another problem we have. Someone also asked this week for a second pipeline extension. And that would be in Floyd and Mitchell County. Whether it can be a new pipeline or an extension of the one that's there now. There's a meeting, might be interested in, on July 8th, called Exposing Hazardous Carbon Dioxide Pipelines. That's going to be in Fort Dodge. There are going to be numerous speakers at that meeting. I think it starts at 8. Anybody's interested in attending, then I'm sure there'll be some more publicity about that. Former Congressman, not thinking his name, that was defeated in the last election, is going to speak. He'll be one of the main speakers. I think but it, it should be an interesting. And I'm gonna agree with what they're saying, but I think we need to all hear what they're saying and be knowledgeable about it. So, Summit is now coming out with offers to the landowners called today only offers. So they're making offers on the easements that are good for one day only. You don't accept the offer that they're offering you, then, well, we don't know what's gonna happen, but it's for today only, so. Like car dealer says, yeah, you can have it for this price, today only, but tomorrow, it might be a different price. Whatever, you might go down. Whether it's insinuating that you're gonna get this offer today, but it's not good for any other time. So, I would like to ask, that we consider having a moratorium, from Woodbury County for the pipelines. I think we need to do something to slow them down. They are pushing really hard right now. And, our lawyer for the landowners group has said 100% yes. Ask your counties for a moratorium. Not stop them, but slow them down until FEMSA gets their plans made. And we should know. FEMSA has, originally they said it might be 2 years. I'm not sure what they're saying after the meeting. Questions?
The decision to move up the hearing, Iowa Utilities Board, is that already changed, or is there a possibility that it won't get? I'd heard that it was moved up to August.
Well, today they came out and officially, announced that it was gonna be August 22nd. So, yeah, before it was, yeah, we thought it was gonna be, probably, but we didn't know for sure, but today, yeah, you came, yes. That's the date for it. We're getting out of it now. Anything else? Okay.
Thank
I just think that, landowners need more protection. Stop them from going the rest of their land. I will be doing some of my maps today that I hope you all have studied those a little bit. But I was noticing how many, large cattle feeders are along the route of the Summit and the Navigator route, coming up through Woodbury County. And the effect that could have. Oh, by the way, I called Grassley's office one day and I talked to a lady there. And I said something about pipeline and, being dangerous to people and animals. And she said, oh, that's not true. Carbon dioxide cannot kill people. And I said, what? And so we have a discussion about that. But she was very, emphatic that carbon dioxide is not dangerous. So we've got a lot of work to do with our political figures, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner comments or report inquiries, item number 7 on the agenda. Hearing none. No. Okay, staff update number 8.
What you voted on tonight in the public hearing with the temporary construction, we're looking at, those being on the 11th, 18th, and 25th, for the Board of Supervisor meetings. Supervisors do have the right to waive meetings when they engage. For example, if there's a lot of public engagement, they'll probably run all 3. But if something is more straightforward, or they feel that there's not a lot of controversy, there's a chance that they could waive maybe 1 or 2 of those, depending on the magnitude of what you looked at tonight. So it's very possible they could pass it up first night, just so you're aware of that too. That's all I got.
Okay, how about item number 9, which is adjourned? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Yeah.
Oh, we had somebody on the phone, did they?
I think that's 12.
Okay, you didn't want to have anything.
We have a